Everything ready at hand in case you get calls, in case you need the information. You don't have to look around for them, you'll have them right there at hand. During Zoom meetings, ensure that all your computers are hooked up properly so that you don't have to break the meetings, you don't have to interrupt, and always be ready with a pen and a paper to take notes and to do all that you require. You can be very successful working from home because these days a lot of people are doing it. This has been Self-Care Tips. I am Irene Joroge.
God forbid it. Who is this? Your voice sounds so familiar.
That doesn't matter now. What matters is if you can help us. God forbidden? Hold on! Are you 100% sure?
Did your parents never teach you that you should respect your elders?
Who am I supposed to blame?
You two, messaging each other in front of me. Could it be you're hiding something from me?
有一段故事建筑一座城堡，回忆放进去后就不再。
My name is Mohammed Ahmed Mohammed, the CEO of Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, popularly known as KDIC. The corporation recently increased the protected sum from the previous 100,000 shillings to 500,000 shillings per account. This is the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. In effect, the corporation now covers 99% of the depositors in the unlikely event of a closure of a bank. So KDIC encourages the depositors to continue doing business with our banks that are strong and resilient.
Be sure, check out for a KDIC sticker in your banking hall. KDIC, protecting your deposits.
Well, it's 9 p.m. East African time from wherever you're watching us in Kenya and around the world. Good evening. This is KBC Prime Edition, the 7th day of December 2021, 18 days to Christmas. My name is Mboya.
My name is Museo. Thank you so much for joining us right on time for the latest news from the country and around the world. Later on, Cynthia Nyamai will be bringing you business news, while Karen Kibet will be on the sports beat at Purity_Museo, at Mboya24, at KBC Channel 1 News, the hashtag Prime Edition.
First things first, our top stories tonight. Dawn of mayhem in Kabete. Police in a shooting spree kills 6 before committing suicide.
The city prepares for Raila's big day as DP woos Nyandarua County.
The hearing of the 7.3 billion shillings corruption case to start late next year. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter tonight.
Let's go straight to our top story. And police have commenced investigations into what might have triggered their colleague to kill 6 people before turning the gun on himself in the wee hours of Tuesday in Mountain View Estate right here in Nairobi's Kangemi area.
The police officer is said to have first killed his wife before going on a shooting spree, killing 6 people and leaving 2 nursing gunshot wounds. The killing igniting protest by border operators who lost 2 colleagues in the unfortunate incident.
The scenes on Wayaki Way Road Tuesday morning. Demonstrations to protest the killing of innocent souls at the wee hours of Tuesday by a raged police officer. The officer, who was on a night shift, is said to have first shot his wife dead before engaging in a shooting spree, killing anybody who came his way as he drove off his house. According to Kabete Sub-County Commissioner Francis Wahome, the gun used by the officer had 26 rounds of ammunition, which he fired at civilians who are mostly border operators.
Tutakapofika kwenye kina cha jambo hili, hapo ndipo tunaweza kujua hata mikakati ile tutakayoiweka, kwa sababu this is a learning experience.
But locals are reading mischief in the whole story, alleging some form of cover-up.
Kijana anatoka kazini, alikuwa DJ, anaenda nyumbani akashutiwa. Sasa yeye pekee, mavijana wameuniwa hiki kijijini. Tunaomba serikali chukue hatua.
Huyu ofisa, kuna mtu aliua hapa chini around 6 months ago, of which kesi yake iko kwa IPOA. Sisi tunataka tujue, is the report out ya hiyo IPOA?
The wife of one of the deceased border operator narrating the last conversation she had with her husband before his life was cut short by a bullet.
Nimethibitisha kwa pikipiki, nikaona pikipiki yake ndio hii. Nagoje sana niende mochari, niende niangalia mwili yake. I have nothing to do. I'm a mother of 3. I have no job. I don't know where to start. He was my breadwinner.
Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi, who toured the scene, termed the incident shocking and quite unfortunate.
Even from Parliament, I think we should now deal with the issue of mental health properly, because it is affecting not just the police officers, but it's affecting almost the whole society.
The Independent Policing Oversight Authority says it has dispatched its rapid response team to obtain information relevant in unveiling the circumstances surrounding the shooting incident. It has further urged police officers to fully explore mechanisms of addressing issues affecting their work instead of resorting to killings. As the public awaits on what triggered the police officer to kill himself and other civilians, the question that begs many is what is happening at the police service. Ruth Wamboy, reporting for Prime Edition from Kabete, Nairobi County.
Quite sad. Let's remain with that report. The Minister of Interior now says that preliminary investigation point to a possible love triangle as a possible trigger of the shooting dead of 6 people by a police officer who later committed suicide. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i says police officer is like any other member of society and are susceptible to stressful work environment that has been compounded by challenges of the COVID-19 and need assistance instead of bashing. Dr. Matiang'i, who attended an event to honor officers who have died in line of duty, said resources will be committed to mental health and counseling of police officers to help them deal with stress.
One of our officers in Dagoretti has taken his life and 5 other lives in the process. We are investigating the matter. and our internal affairs unit officers are there. DCI Kinodi's team has been there. We want to get to the bottom of that incident. We have had challenges of various kinds across the countries, not only in the police service, mental health challenges, social pressures and problems. I mean, cases of homicides that we are dealing with out there, not even within the police service, are huge.
Mental health, an area of massive concern there. Now, moving on, Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibisho says that all flights to and from the Wilson Airport will temporarily be suspended as the country holds Jamhuri Day celebrations to be held at the newly renovated Uhuru Gardens. That's on Sunday. Kibisho, who was speaking when he inspected the grounds where the celebrations will be held, said a traffic protocol advisory update will be released Thursday. The permanent secretary maintained that only 1,000 VIPs and 10,000 members of the public will be allowed at the celebrations. He said preparations, are almost complete for the big day.
We have liaised with the relevant agencies so that within the period of the celebration we will not have flights around this place. As is the custom, when we have a big congregation of people, we don't want that to happen, but that has already been put in place and it will only be for a short time. We will only be able to accommodate seating people, public area, 10,000. We will accommodate 1,000 in the VIP dais, and these have been given through our normal system for distribution. We are using cards for invitation, and the people who are supposed to come have already been informed through their national administrators in the field.
And it's all systems go for the ODM leader Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja conference scheduled for Friday at Kasarani Stadium. Speaking during an inspection of the venue, ODM chair John Mbadi said close to 60,000 delegates drawn from across the country are expected to attend the event. Zainab Said has more.
The cordial political working relationship between Orange Democratic Movement and Jubilee parties came to fore Tuesday, with leaders from both parties marching to the Moi Sports Center Kasarani on an inspection tour ahead of the Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja's conference this Friday. The leaders expressing satisfactory on the state of preparations so far.
I want to be very, very clear that this is not going to be ODM meeting. It's not ODM function. It is a Azimio la Umoja function.
ODM Chair John Mbadi extending an invitation to all leaders regardless of their political inclination.
We are going to listen to Raila Amolo Odinga speak to the people of Kenya, spell out the unity message, and in the process a decision may be arrived at by the people of Kenya.
Tumealika wabunge zaidi ya 200. Tumealika gavana zaidi ya 40 na kwa kufikia leo gavana zaidi ya 30 wameconfirm, wameandika barua, wamesema tunakuja.
The leaders urging ODM supporters to turn up in large numbers, saying the event is a symbol of the country's unity.
Katika kila eneo, kila mmoja ako na haki kuweza kuongea vile anavyotaka. Wengine watasema kwa wamechukua sijui eneo kubwa sana la Mombasa, sijui wapi. Unajua lugha hii inaongelewa kila mwaka. Mimi nimesimama kura miaka miwili, kila siku nasikia lugha hizi.
Nominated Member of Parliament Maina Kamanda taking the stage to rubbish claims the Jubilee Party was a shell.
Lete Jubilee tena iwe na nguvu na tusunguke katika eneo letu vile vile na president wetu, na ninajua atafanya hivyo. Chama bado itarudi. Wale unaona saa hii wanasema wamekwenda, ndio wale tu watarudi tena kutaka tena kuwa kwa Jubilee tena.
Preparation for the Azimio la Umoja D-Day are currently ongoing here at Kasarani Moi Sports Center Stadium. According to the organizers, more than 68,000 members, among them delegates from across the country, are expected here on Friday. For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Systems go for the ODM leader Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja conference scheduled to take off on Friday. Now, Deputy President William Ruto is alleging a plot by his political rivals to form small tribal parties, which will be used to whip up emotions in the wake of competition from the United Democratic Alliance. The Deputy President, who toured Laikipia County to assess development projects, said that Kenyans are in policies and programs that with their lives and not such schemes.
Deputy President William Ruto spent Tuesday in Laikipia County touring development projects and using the opportunity to challenge his political competitors to abandon tribal political parties in favor of a national outfit.
Sisi tumewaambia tunatengeneza chama ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote, chama ya kitaifa ambayo italeta jamii zote za Kenya pamoja, italete pembe zote za Kenya pamoja, ili tuweze kupata nguvu ya kuunda serikali itakayoshughulikia Wakenya wote.
He urged Kenyans to reject leaders who are out to divide them and rally behind those who are transformative.
Lakini nimekuja hapa kuwaambia hiyo program ya Big Four kwa sababu ni ahadi yetu mimi na Uhuru Kenyatta, na kwa sababu rais anaenda kustaafu mwaka ujao, kwa sababu ni deni yetu. Mimi nasimama hapa kuwaambia watu wa Rumuruti na Kenya, hiyo deni mimi kama William Ruto nitalipa kwa niaba yetu sisi wote.
Leaders who accompanied the Deputy President said leaders from Mount Kenya region will not bow down to pressure from those using threats, blackmail or intimidation to coerce them to change their political stand.
Wale wengine warete mpango yao, warete sera, warete chama, warete candidate, wakutane na huyu kwa hajazidia.
They also called on the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government to scale up surveillance in Laikipia County to ensure the region remains secure.
Na inatakikana mupatiwe usalama ya kutosha. Kwa hivyo tungetaka kuambia hao Matiang'i na Kibicho, stop wasting resources meant for security operations. 2022.
Elsewhere, One Kenya Party Alliance is pledging to prioritize the interest of all Kenyans without discrimination if one of their own sails through the ballot next year. Principals who on Tuesday pitched camp at Mwatete and Wundanyi in Taita Taveta County said they will ensure free education and medical cover under the National Hospital Insurance Fund if Kenyans elect them. Further cautioned that the electorate to be wary of corrupt leaders seeking their votes.
Wako na hiyo tabia ya ufisadi, watawacha mwili yao kando na kichwa. Umefahamu? Umeshafahamu? Tutachukua hatua kali kwa wale ambayo wanachezea mali ya umma.
Tunasema tunataka viongozi ambao wataaminika kuanzia kule mashinani MCA hadi cheo cha urais.
Lakini sisi tunataka siasa zetu ziwe huru na za haki. Si ni kweli? Wangapi wanataka watoto wasome bure form 1 to form 4?
Utakiingia kila mwananchi wa Kenya, awe msukuma bodaboda, awe mama mboga, awe ni nani, hata warembo wetu wenye mnafanya ile kazi ya jioni, kila mtu atapata kadi ya NHIF.
Now, moving away from politics, the nominee for Chairperson Public Service Commission, Anthony Mushiri, says that his main priority, if appointed to the position, will be restoring performance management systems that reward merit in the public service. Speaking while being vetted by the National Assembly's Administration and Security Committee, Mushiri said that there is need to reform the human resource management system in the public service to address stagnation. Our parliamentary reporter, Kevin Washira, with the details.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's nominee for Chairperson Public Service Commission, Ambassador Anthony Mushiri,
appeared before the National Assembly Administration and Security Committee to defend his suitability to the position.
I've been part of the stagnation. I've been part of the low morale. I've been part of the low wages. And I've seen what has been done. I was in the office of the head of public service when we had the dream team that was trying to retweak the public service. I was there during the economic recovery strategy era that brought in performance management.
The nominee, who is currently Kenya's envoy in Cuba, pegged his suitability on the experience he has gathered during his 37 years in the public service. The nominee, who worked as principal assistant to former heads of public service Salikos Gay and Francis Muthaura, committed to revive the performance management system that was introduced in 2004 with the name of rewarding merit and unlocking stagnation in the service.
I'm going to retweak the performance management system that has been ignored. There is apathy. In the last 10 years of the third government, when performance management system was introduced around 2003, 2004, we were shining. We were getting prizes internationally for the best managed civil service.
MPs sought to know the nominee's strategy to deal with youth unemployment amidst a ballooning wage bill.
We need to promote, we need to train, we need to integrate, and we need continuous improvement so that the lower cadre and the middle cadre and the super cadre have a pyramidal human resource. So we need to entrench and have a strong human resource system with strong plans, with fit for purpose organograms. If we had those, we would not be having this problem. So we have a problem with the human resource system in the whole of government.
If appointed, Mushiri will replace Stephen Kirogo, who passed on in May. The parliamentary committee now retreats to prepare a report that is expected to be ready by Friday. Kevin Washira, Prime Edition.
In other news, Kenya and Tanzania have eliminated 75% trade barriers, attracting more cross-border business. Government spokesperson Colonel Cyrus Oguna said the signing of business deals by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Tanzanian counterpart Suluhu Hassan in May this year has attracted over 50 billion shillings worth of Tanzanian investment into the country, providing over 2,700 jobs. Oguna added that the cordial relations between Kenya and her East African counterparts is instrumental in achieving rapid regional development.
Kwa wakati huu, kutokana na kwamba changamoto zilizokuwepo hizo karibu 75% hapo zimeshatatuliwa. Pia kwa upande wa biashara, mtakumbuka kwamba kuna wananchi wa Kenya ambao wamewekeza Tanzania na pia kuna Watanzania ambao wamewekeza hapa. Tukiangalia kwa kifupi tu ni kwamba kuna kampuni za Kenya kule Tanzania 529. Ikiwa kwa jumla ile pesa wamekeza wa Kenya ni bilioni 1.7 dola bilioni 1.7, ikiwa imeajiri watu 56,000. Wa Tanzania pia wamewekeza upande huu wa Kenya, ikiwa kiwango cha wekezaji wa Tanzania wakiwa hapa Kenya ni kitita cha dola milioni 500 pamoja na kuajiri watu 2,700. Sasa mwingiliano huu ni karibu sana, ambapo tunasema hakuna nchi ambayo katika kanda hii tupo nchi ambazo zina uhusiano wa karibu zaidi ya Kenya na Tanzania. Kwa hivyo misingi hiyo tunayoweka ama rais hawa wawili wanaweka ni msingi ambao lazima tujivunie kama nchi.
Umesema usafiri umeimarika, umetaja
Very well, that item on cross-border trade brings us to our first break. This is KBC Prime Edition.
Absolutely. We are live on all our social media platforms. Talk to us at KBC Channel 1 News, the hashtag Prime Edition. Stay with us.
Ili kupata skiza tuni hii ya usifadhaishwe, bonyeza star 811 star 961 hash.
Usifadhaishwe na mafanikio ya wengine ukihisi kwamba maisha yako hayana maana. Kumbuka, wengi huzungumzia tu mafanikio yao na si changamoto walizozipitia na ni mara ngapi walianguka. Tia bidii, muda wako utafika.
Ili kupata skiza tuni hii ya usifadhaishwe, bonyeza star 811 star 961 hash.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email newsroom@kbc.co.ke, call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Many thanks indeed for staying with us. Now, moving on, the 7.3 billion shilling corruption case facing Madeira Member of Parliament Rigathi Gachagua will commence in September 2022. Rigathi is facing 6 corruption charges, among them handling proceeds of crime offences committed between 2013 and 2020. The case will be mentioned on the 24th of February 2022.
Madeira Member of Parliament Rigathi Gachagua will have to wait for nearly 1 year for a 7.3 billion shillings corruption case to kick off. Rigathi was in court on Tuesday for pre-trial directions on the case and was told that the hearing of the case will be in September 2022. The legislator is facing 6 corruption charges on the acquisition of 7.3 billion shillings, which is alleged to be proceeds of crime between 2013 and 2020 through business dealings with the government. Meanwhile, the High Court has consolidated all petitions involving Justice Sankali Ole Kantai, the DPP Nurdin Haji, and the Law Society of Kenya. The court will give further directions on the 9th of December 2021 on the proceedings of the case. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Principal Secretary in the State Department for Post-Training and Skills Development, Alfred Cheruiyot, is calling for the incorporation of youth in the development of curriculum in tertiary education. Speaking at the Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education for Africa during the opening ceremony of the National Conference on Matching Curricula to Labor Market Demands, Cheruiyot gave the government's commitment to ensuring reforms are undertaken to equip learners with relevant skills in line with the changing global market needs.
We do not want to see any more education outcomes that are translated into failure and hopelessness of Kenyans.
Most importantly, the youth themselves should be given an opportunity to get engaged and play an active role in the design and implementation of their education and employability.
How are we preparing to be part of that 4th industrial revolution, and so that we do not have to play catch up with the rest of the world?
Now, a man with disability in Kabaru village, that is in Nyeri County, is making a living from repairing speakers from the comfort of his bedroom. 59-year-old Wanjoy Gasha has mounted speakers in his compound to attract clients, a business that he has been undertaking for the last 3 years. Let's take a look.
Kabaru village of Nyeri County.
It is the sound of music booming from 3 giant speakers mounted atop a rickshaw that will capture your attention. These might be mistaken for free entertainment, but for 59-year-old Wanjohi Ngacha, it is a publicity gimmick that he has employed to attract potential clients to his business of repairing and selling speakers. His is a unique workshop as it is located in his bedroom with prices of speakers displayed based on their output. Why his bedroom, you might ask?
With 15 nikapata tamaa ya pesa, nikaacha kuhubiri, nikaigiria biashara, nikanunua motorbike, nikawa nikiuza viazi na karati huku mpande wa Mkuloini Gakedo na Udhaya. Nilipokuwa jiani siku moja nikiteremuka kutoka Kigajo mteremuko wa Marwa, hapo Kahiga gari ikakwisha. Motorbike yangu ilikuwa ni ya 250cc. Nilikuwa nikibeba magunia 8, mawili ya karati na mawili ya viazi. Nilipokuwa mteremuko wa Marwa, hapo gari motorbike kaicha brake, nikachimbuka kwenye junction ya Marwa bila kusimama, nikagogwa na nikakanyagwa vibaja vyangu viwili.
He says that his friends challenged him to tap into his mechanical skills to keep himself busy with his first assignment involving the repair of speakers and microphones for a local church.
Nilipata vyombo kwa kimiujiza, kuitisha wahubiri zile zimeharibika, nikawatengenezea zikarudi hai tena, nikawa naletewa speaker, naletewa microphone, naletewa ukileta amplifier bili, tunakubaliana na wewe. Moja ikivuvuka, moja itakuwa yangu. Unasema ndio, na vuvua zote bili na kurudishia moja.
Surprisingly, no sooner had he repaired the first speaker than more customers, mostly referrals, started seeking him out with their broken speakers. Soon, an idea to put together a speaker from scratch came to mind.
Kwa hivyo, speaker moja ni siku mbili tunamaliza, ana paint, yeye ndio paint. Yani siku mbili speaker moja inakuwa complete tunauza.
Ngacha challenges those lamenting over lack of employment opportunities to equip themselves with technical skills and seek to venture into self-employment.
Ukujikuta ukiwa umekuwa disabled, sio kuwa utaishi hivyo maisha. Kwa hivyo kwanza ujiamini wewe kumefanyika hivyo, na Mungu umuombe, utaamuka na ukose uoga. Sababu ukiwa muoga na watu watakuchekelea, watakudhihaki, watakudharau. Uwe mchangamfu kwa maisha hayo na uyafurahie.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Making the difference in a very, very creative way. I mean, I couldn't imagine that. Anyway, police in Eldoret are investigating an incident where more than 100 mobile phones have reportedly been stolen. Residents attributing the incident to lack of enough security in the area. More of this in our county news roundup.
A gang of 6 men is alleged to have stolen a known number of mobile phones during a peace concert held in Eldoret County. The group is said to have disguised themselves. Police are on the trail of the suspects.
The issues that have also been raised, that has been reported to us, we are also making a follow-up because we still have our DCI who is also following about those things.
And in Murang'a County, police have launched a manhunt for a gang that has been vandalizing parked vehicles and stealing of valuables, tires and rims. For the last 1 month, 10 cases of vandalization has been reported in the town.
Gari hili ndogo limetolewa magurudumu yote manne na limetegwa juu kwa mawe. Nami nilipotoka nikapata magari yote mawili yamefunguliwa bonnet na lile kubwa limetolewa battery na spare wheel yake inatumiwa kutega hili gari ndogo.
Meanwhile, Kakamega County Assembly Majority Leader Joel Ongoro has resigned. Ongoro, who was elected on an ODM ticket, cited political interference in the operations of the county assembly.
Na mimi kama kiongozi wa wengi bungeni sitaki kutumika. Nishafanya kazi yangu kwa miaka 4 na singependa nipakwe uchafu kwa hii muda fupi ambao umebaki.
Elsewhere, a Migori-based non-governmental organization has embarked on creating awareness of gender-based violence among teenagers and young mothers. Sendakau Community Health Officer Elizabeth Nyandima say that the initiative will create a safe space for teenagers and young mothers.
We realize that gender-based violence is an impediment to development. If it is tackled together with the community, then development can be accelerated.
For Prime Edition, I'm Safiri Malina.
Take a short break. Cynthia Nyamai is standing by on the other studio.
Stay with us.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email newsroom@kbc.co.ke, call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
They are marching to provide quality service to all and render special support for other police formations during operations. Watch the General Service Unit Passing Out Parade live on KBC Channel 1 on the 8th of December 2021, presided over by President Uhuru Kenyatta at the National Police College Embakasi B campus.
Fact is, Victoriano, I'm your wife, and if you want to know something about me, ask me.
You have to tell me everything you know about my mother.
I need to get my revenge on Victoriano Santos.
What is
There is a cave under the ranch house, and it's huge, Daddy. It's very huge.
Why are you so interested in getting that ranch back?
There's something extremely valuable there that belongs only to me.
The Amazons.
Good evening, welcome to Business. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, Uhuru Kenyatta has signed into law the Central Bank of Kenya Bill 2021, empowering the central bank to regulate digital lenders through licensing and ensuring fair interest rates, as well as non-discriminatory loan recovery practices. This means as a digital lender, as a customer, you're likely to be charged a lower interest rate going forward. Betty Kiptum with the details.
Digital lenders have 6 months to register with the central bank following the coming into force of the Central Bank of Kenya Amendment Bill 2021. President Uhuru Kenyatta assented to the bill that empowers CBK to regulate digital lenders to ensure they meet the registration requirements, capital adequacy requirements, license fees, permissible and prohibited activities and reporting requirements. The amended Central Bank Act 2021 charges the central bank with the responsibility of ensuring fair and non-discriminatory practices in the credit market. Borrowers have been concerned about high interest rates on digital lending platforms, as well as harassment by lenders demanding loan repayments from people's kin and friends. In his post-monetary policy committee briefing, Central Bank Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge said the regulator will ensure pricing by digital lenders is appropriate and monitor loan recovery mechanisms.
What we will do and have been doing, say on the banking side, with regard to banks, is ensuring that the pricing is appropriate. And it's appropriate in many ways. And I think you have already seen what we have done on the banks. And we've talked about the pricing principles that we have. We've talked about things related to how they should treat customers. So I think that's really a good model to start from. It doesn't mean that it will it will sort of be translated, word for word.
This is the third and successful attempt at regulating digital lenders. Previous attempts primarily focused on the regulation of financial products and services, including digital credit services and the regulation of digital mobile lenders who offer credit facilities in the form of mobile money lending applications. The President also signed into law the Public-Private Partnership Bill and Trustees Perpetual Succession Amendment Act, all of 2021. The new Public-Private Partnership Law expands the role of the private sector in PPP models beyond financing to include construction, operation and maintenance of the projects. Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
Now, WhatsApp is one of the most popular social media apps in Kenya, ranking fourth behind Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. However, the popular messaging app is set to add another feather to its cap by allowing users to save using the app. Capital Chief Sandeep Rhetoric says the new innovation is meant to spur voluntary savings for both the informal and formal sectors.
With most households in rural areas and in the informal settlement dependent on meager wages from manual labor, the task of balancing immediate family needs with long-term financial goals is usually a tough balancing act that in most cases leaves families with minimal or no savings at all. As a result, Kenya's saving culture has stagnated at 5% of the GDP. To promote a savings culture among the informal sector and the youth, Zamaro Capital has today unveiled Africa's first pension savings plan on WhatsApp that will allow low-income earners to save for retirement via WhatsApp.
Use WhatsApp to enroll, join a pension plan, save, take out insurance. So we say that financial security for every Kenyan is just a WhatsApp click away.
Dubbed Fahari Retirement Plan, Zamara Capital is targeting over 600,000 Kenyans in the first year to save as low as 20 shillings a day.
So if you take somebody who saves 20 shillings a day, right, and had they been doing this for 10 years, they would have accumulated close to 120,000 shillings. During this COVID crisis, this money would have been very useful to keep food on the table, right, to keep their families going.
Retirement Benefits Authority Chief Executive Officer Nzomo Motuko says the innovation will spur voluntary individual savings not only for the informal sector, majority of who do not have a savings or retirement plan, but the youth as well.
Area that we have really not done well, as Sandeep said, is driving coverage. So coverage, we are now up to 22%. So we have grown because 20 years ago we were around 12%. But still, a large part of the working population is not a member of any pension scheme. And most of those are those in the informal sector.
To see Juakali sector doing much better and investing for retirement. Previously, it was so neglected, and yet it contributes about 30 to 40% of the GDP with more than 90% of employment.
With the app, Kenyans can be able to access the plan before they reach their retirement age in the case of an emergency. Caroline Jenga for Prime Edition.
Ministry of East African Community has signed a collaboration deal with the University of Nairobi and the Collaborative Center for Gender Development on gender economic empowerment that will, among others, see incubation of at least 20 women, youth and PWDs traders in each cross-border point. EAC Principal Secretary Dr. Kevit Desai says the collaboration will inform policy implementation, upscaling of empowerment of special interest groups to participate more in cross-border trade.
The Ministry of East African Community has signed a collaboration deal with the University of Nairobi and the Collaborative Center for Gender Development to collaborate on empowerment of special interest groups involved in cross-border trade. The collaboration aims at coming up with a long-term plan that will provide women, youth and persons with disabilities protection, provision of working spaces and enhance policy development process through evidence-based decision-making process.
The intra-trade which is going along on a daily basis, side by side, the formal trade of trucks and the big multinationals and so on. And we consider this extremely unique by way of the overall potential it has towards promoting intra-trade. Women happen to be behind it at the forefront in terms of the percentage of 80% being women within cross-border trade. And so within this context, as part of the ministry's efforts, this is absolutely a critical area that we would like to innovate and develop and transform.
This kind of collaboration makes it possible to understand very well what the problem is in terms of even enough about what they need from the government, what they need from other kinds of partners.
How can this be identified and brought to the fore that we can share and do more business using that competitive advantage? So the University of Nairobi, what is bringing is the data decision-making approach.
Many corporations have come together in the fight for gender equality and raising the standard of the women in the society. As such, different policies have been put in place to help the women to endeavor in different dimensions. Meanwhile, the government is forging partnerships with the private sector in research, innovation, and policy framework on agriculture to boost food security. Speaking during the signing of a memorandum of understanding of a private-public partnership between the University of Nairobi and Elgon, Kenya for the establishment of an agriculture and science research center, Dr. Desai said the innovation centers will help fragment the agriculture value chain and increase agricultural productivity.
Link between the academia, private sector and government in order to create that ecosystem of support. And when I mean ecosystem, we're looking at a systematic engagement, I presume from a context of research at this technology center and innovation center to look at policy issues, legislation, all with a view of ensuring that we have a return proposition with respect to a high yield in productivity.
And this center will enhance that by allowing students and members of the farming community to get their hands on with seeing and touching and learning about new innovations in this field.
The center will benefit students, researchers, and farmers with new technology to boost yields. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Thank you, Tess, for that in-depth report on the EAC. Now, businesses are engaging in corruption during licensing and procurement, which end up inflating the overall price of goods and services. Industrialization Chief Administrative Secretary David Osiang is calling on the private sector to uphold business ethics since they are the main accessory in corruption acts.
Corruption has been blamed for the short lifespan of new businesses in the country. It has emerged that the procurement and supply chain departments within organizations are the most prone to corruption, with the most prevalent forms of corruption being fraud, bribery, tax evasion, and embezzlement.
To the endemic corruption we have in government processes. But the question is the private sector any better? With who does government get to bed to fleece Kenyans of resources that would otherwise develop infrastructure that necessitate business?
Industrialization Chief Administrative Secretary David Osiang says private sector players are a key accessory to most corruption acts and is calling on especially small businesses to self-regulate and uphold business ethics.
It is the private sector business people who have learned the art of putting in their markup margins within the budget well before it is read.
Businesses say laxity in upholding business ethics inflates the price of local products and services, making them uncompetitive when compared to imports.
Corruption increases the cost of doing business, meaning that you as the business person, you are reducing your profit by over 12%. simply because your costs have gone higher. Now, if you are engaging in corruption and then other players are coming into the country, the chances of you making a profit are very nil. So you need to self-regulate, you need to be ethical, you need to be honest for your business to be sustainable.
And it has a very negative impact on their business. It makes their survival, growth, sustainability very difficult.
Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Ibak Saeed.
People traveling to the UK now need to take a pre-departure COVID test as part of the measures to tackle the new Omicron variant. The change came into force this morning, with travelers over the age of 12 having to submit evidence of a negative lateral flow or PCR test that has taken a maximum of 48 hours before the departure to the UK. Here are some of the details of this and other stories from across the world.
About 10,000 Rohingya Muslims were killed during a military crackdown in Buddhist majority Myanmar in 2017. In the UK, a British law firm representing some of the refugees has written a letter to Facebook alleging that social media firms' algorithms amplified hate speech against the Rohingya people. In the US, lawyers filed a legal complaint against Facebook, accusing it of being willing to trade the lives of the Rohingya people for better market penetration in a small country in Southeast Asia. Finally, Uber says it may soon have to start charging its UK customers value-added tax at 20% after a High Court judgment pushing up the cost of rides. It comes after a judge ruled that UK private hire taxi operators must make contracts with their customers. This could have far-reaching consequences for the industry, and other private hire firms may also have to add value-added tax. A separate judgment this year which found Uber drivers should be treated as workers, not contractors.
Well, that's it for business. Up next, sports with Karen Kibet.
God forbid it. Who's this? Your voice sounds so familiar. That doesn't matter now. What matters is if you can help us. God forbidden. Hold on! Are you 100% sure?
Did your parents never teach you that you should respect your elders?
Who am I supposed to blame?
You two, messaging each other in front of me. Could it be you're hiding something from me?
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回忆放进去后就不再。
Thank you for keeping it KBC Primetime Edition. It's now time for us to take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, the Kenya Netball Federation President Immaculate Kabutha has hailed the netball teams for always being there when called upon to represent the country in international events. Meanwhile, with barely 2 days before the early awaited National Olympic Committee of Kenya election, several aspirants have exuded confidence ahead of the exercise, which will be presided over by the Center of Corporate Governance, CCG.
Speaking during the closing ceremony of the tournament held at the Nyayo National Stadium, the Kenya Netball Federation President Immaculate Kabutha said that the support from players and management has played a key role in expanding the game in different parts of the country.
We are also so grateful and excited having been offered a floor. For the first time we shall have a floor come to Kenya, and now we can now be able to host international matches and also regional matches.
The Kenya Prison netball team were crowned champions after beating Vihiga 35-13 in their final match at Nyayo National Stadium. Meanwhile, with barely 2 days before the early awaited National Olympic Committee of Kenya elections, several aspirants have exuded confidence ahead of the TEJ exercise, which will be presided by the Center of Corporate Governance. Among those trying their luck is the 206 UN Person of the Year and 3 times World Half Marathon champion Stegla Lorupe, who is the only female vying for the position of the second deputy president. Lorupe believes she is suited for the position and called voters to vote individuals based on their track record. Lorupe will face off against the incumbent Waithaka Kioni. The 3 positions of the executive members has attracted 7 contestants. Among them is Suleiman Sumba, while Andrew Mudembo will be going for the Secretary General post, as Moses Budhia is vying for the Treasurer's position.
We come from sports. And our experience and our input also, for me, I think it's the best that we can try also to be part of this National Olympics. And I'm sure that we have something to offer to our young upcoming athletes, and also as the nation-wise, we have names.
There comes a time when you say give devil his due, and I think to me they have done what they ought to do. And we're waiting now. We're looking forward to seeing them do a good job in the next 72 hours. And the winner will definitely emerge.
We believe the elections will be fair, and that's what we are looking at. And for me, I don't think it's a matter of competing with either Francis Mutuku or FK Paul. Mine, what we should be looking at is the development of sports within the Olympic movement.
The election is slated for Thursday with 10 positions up for grabs, following the president and 2 athlete representative positions, failing to attract any opposition. Daniel Mwendwa, Sport.
Thank you, Dan, for that report. The Kenyan Premier League will resume on Wednesday with 5 matches on the card. Nairobi City Stars will face Nzoia Sugar at Ruaraka Grounds, while league leaders Kariobangi Sharks will take on Kenya Police at the same venue. Sofapaka will square it out with Wazito. Kakamega Homeboys will host Mathare United at Buhungu Stadium, while defending champions Tusker FC will travel to face Ulinzi Stars at the ASK Showgrounds in Nakuru. Meanwhile, the National Super League season will resume on Saturday with 10 matches across the country. Moving on, defending champion Baldev Chaga believes stopping leader Carl Flash Tundo from reclaiming the Kenya National Rally Championship title at Sunday's season closing KCB Guru Nanak Rally is going to be a tall order. Chaga has a tiny chance of defending the title he won in 2019 before COVID-19 saw the 2020 season end prematurely.
The Speedmaster will be seeking to close the season with a win, with hopes that Tundo stumbles in the Ilbisel-based event, which will be organized by Sikh Union Club Nairobi. The event has been moved from Stony Athi to Ilbisel due to inclement weather, according to the clerk of the cause, Onkar Kalsi. Tundo realistically only needs to finish 8th to secure the title, given his 25 points advantage over Chaja. If Tundo finishes 8th, he will have chalked up the much-needed 11 points, enough to reclaim the title he lost to Chaja a few years back. Chaja will team up with Ravi Chana in a WV Polo R5, while Tundo will go for the title in his traditional Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10 and navigated by long-standing co-driver Tim Jessop. Maxine Wahome will be fighting with former two-wheel champion Darren Miranda for the division title. Maxine, in his very first year of rallying, tops the Division 2 log on 137 points against Darren's 123. And having not graced the first 2 events, Maxine must enter the Guru Nanak to attain the 75% threshold for participation.
The Kenya swimming team Turkana Zone 3 Swimming Championship left the country on Tuesday morning ahead of the regional gala slated for 9th to 13th in Kampala, Uganda. Kenya will be represented by 30 swimmers in the different age group categories. 48 swimmers had initially been picked but were trimmed to 30 due to financial constraints. The regional championship will bring together swimmers from 11 countries, among them hosts Uganda, Kenya, Sudan, Tanzania, Ethiopia and Eritrea. And finally, Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp is expected to rotate his side for their final Champions League group game against AC Milan tonight, having already qualified to the knockout stages. Meanwhile, in the English Premier League, Demarai Gray's superb injury time strike earned Everton a first win in 9 games after a stunning 2-1 comeback victory over Arsenal on Monday night.
Meanwhile, UEFA Champions League action is set to resume tonight with 8 games on card. Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp will be looking to rest some of his key players as they travel to take on AC Milan. Atletico Madrid will travel away to Porto. Ajax will welcome Sporting Lisbon, while Borussia Dortmund will host Besiktas. Inter Milan will be visitors to Real Madrid, while Shakhtar Donetsk will take on Sheriff Tiraspol.
And we do wish all Arsenal fans a quick recovery. 6 consecutive losses back-to-back is not easy. We wish them all the best. And that's all we had for you right here at the KBC Sports News. Let's do this all over again tomorrow, same time, same place. My name is Karen Kibet. Do have yourself a peaceful night. But I hand you back to Tom and Purity.
Thank you very much, Karen Kibet.
Indeed, quick recovery to Arsenal fans. Thank you so much for watching Prime Edition this Tuesday night. We always value your feedback, and thanks to Crop Daniels, who is watching us from Kitale, Engineer Tharau. Kuria is tuned in from Kimende, while we have Caleb Chama from Mombasa and Hosea. Thank you for your feedback, as well as Denver. We really do appreciate. I'm Purity Museo. Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. We'll see you again next week, God willing. Monday and Tuesday. Keep safe.
Well, we've got to go now. Thank you for watching. I'm Mboya. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya. Bye-bye.